So good day, everyone. I am John, your moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone for today's webinar, which is called Two Critical Topics, Criminal Background Checks and the LGBTQAI plus community. So now I would like to introduce our presenter for today. Actually, I have seen her bio. She's like awesome speaker. So thank you so much for, Anne just scheduling this webinar with us. So let's come with the bio of Anne. So Anne Sadowski has been in the apartment industry 5 decades and is a former VP of Marketing and Education for Lincoln Property Company, earned a Texas real estate license and certified speaking credentials from National Speakers Association. She holds CAM, CAPS, and NAEI Advanced Facilitator designation. So now I would like to hand over this conference to our speaker. Over to you, Anne.
Thank you, John, and welcome everyone. I'm excited that you are joining us today. I am assuming that most of you, since you are in the housing industry, are familiar with the protected classes. These are the federally protected classes. In the late 60s, race, color, and national origin and religion were the first protected classes by the federal government, by HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development. HUD is very clear. It's not just physical disabilities. It can be mental disabilities. So here's how HUD puts it. Any physical or mental disability that substantially limits one or more major life activities. Let me address very quickly race and ethnicity, and I'm going to just give you this one example of what happens in our field that is discrimination, even though it doesn't seem to be obvious. Don't be the person who gets your property sued. And as you can see, we are all, other than the pirate who's lost a leg, has a distinguished little difference between, and that would fall under handicapped. So just to add a little levity. So we're going to begin with the LGBTQIA plus community. LGBTQAI plus community is protected under gender under fair housing laws. So LGBTQAI is an acronym. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning. These are terms that are used to describe a person's sexual orientation. So here's the graph that gives you a bit of an explanation, and somehow or other I cut off a little bit of the pansexuals. Okay, so the L, and you all are pretty familiar with lesbian, it is L, a woman who is primarily attracted to another one, a woman to women, okay? Gay is a man who is primarily attracted to men. Bisexual is an individual who is attracted to persons of both genders, male and female. Transgender, which is one of the most tender topics out today in this community, because so many children are realizing early in life that they're transgender. Queer, again, is that umbrella term. Questioning, and that is a person who may be in the process of exploring their gender identity, and they have not yet totally identified. The I is for intersex. Intersex is a person whose sexual anatomy or chromosomes don't fit with the traditional markers of female or male. The A is for ally, and that would be those of us who are typically non-queer persons who support and advocate for others in the queer community. Asexual is an individual who generally does not feel sexual desire or attraction for any group of persons. P is pansexual, a person who experiences sexual, romantic, physical for all genders, all identities, all persons. There are many examples of sexual and non-sexual harassment. What else could be impacted by these things? In the past decade, our occupancy standards have loosened up a little bit. So same thing is happening in senior housing. There is more discrimination against older senior citizens who are in a gay relationship or who are transgender. There's more discrimination against them than there is even the younger population. Same-sex marriage is again legal in many, many states. Let's move in now to what our hot topics are today. and that is criminal background checks. And here's why this has happened. No blanket discrimination policies, and note that HUD's guidelines don't have legal authority, but they will influence a judge's opinion, a decision when it gets to court. Make sure there are no abrupt, brief answers like, I don't think so, or I don't know, or I'll find out. But this is a sample. These are things that are important that we're looking at regarding this as a reasonable basis in your community policies. Be clear with everyone up front and treat everyone consistently. I remind you that you can require that all applicants meet your financial criteria. We just want to thank John and his company for providing this for you. With that, I will say farewell and thank you, John, and we hope to see you all again in the very near future.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, participants. So with this, we conclude the session for today. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. Have a great day. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, participants.